we want to actually dive deeper into our relationships with our friends, loved ones, family. And this is one of my family members also. Come, Avatar. This is my daughter. She's wanting to come and join us. She might run around, so please forgive us. But today, we'll sing a little bit more kirtan, just a simple Jayaradha Madhav. This is just a prayer to Krishna, talking about his pastimes in Vrindavan. And then we'll have a nice discussion. When we're done with it. Someone can play cartels or anything? Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopi Chandra Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Chandra Vallabha Yashodanandana, Rajadanandana, Yashodanandana, Yamunadira, Vanashari, Yamunadira, Vanashari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunda Bihari. Hare Krishna. Kirtan is always a nice way to calm the nerves. So anyone who's feeling anxiety, or stressed out, just do some kirtan. So as Krishna Dal mentioned before, that Janmashtami is tomorrow, Krishna's appearance day, and today is the pre-party to that. So we're going to have some discussions on the topic of giving the gift of Krishna. And today we had our MSF festival. This is our monthly Sankertan festival. Quite a few devotees went out. We went and hit the streets of Ottawa, and we're sharing the gift of Krishna in the form of kirtan, prasadam, spiritual food, and the best books money can buy. So we all just got back from that event, and we're going to talk about some of the principles of Iskcon and what is this society actually about. Those devotees who have been around for some time may have read these, have heard them, but I'm not here to make up anything new, just to remind us all of what we're doing here. So here, for all the devotees in studio and online, this is the 7 purposes of Iskcon. And Srila Prabhupada, he took a lot of time to think of these purposes and what he actually wants in a spiritual movement within the world. So we're going to remind ourselves of what Srila Prabhupada's made this society for and what our mission statement is within the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we'll go through them and we'll have a little discussion on some of the points. If something stands out to one of the devotees, or we can expand the conversation on specific instructions or purposes, then we have our friends on Zoom. Now we have quite a few devotees in the audience, but most of us were all on Zoom before, so we won't forget you. So please feel free to raise your hand and tune into the conversation, so we know you're there. So the first purpose of Iskcon is to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to the society at large and to educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. So this first principle chalks out what the world is actually missing. Srila Prabhupada specifically said that to check, to teach all people the techniques of spiritual life and to check the imbalances in society, to create real unity within the world. Most people are caught up in the material grind, thinking that that's the all in all of life, and they're missing the balance in life, which is to develop a spiritual cultivation throughout one's life, where we're so bewildered and forced in a direction that we have to just think, I need to make money, I need to get a good job, get a good house, get a good family, get a good wife, husbands, whatever it be. But in that struggle for existence, for just trying to be happy and content in life, for the most part, we forget to tend to our spiritual side of life. And in that way, we feel dissatisfied. Whenever we neglect someone, or in our relationships or in this world, they feel unsatisfied. So similarly, when we're neglecting our spiritual life, it's a great imbalance. So we're trying to tip the scales back to normalcy, not just go focus on our material life only and totally disregard the spiritual life. So this is what Srila Prabhupada wanted out of our society, to help people realize that we have a spiritual nature, a spiritual identity, and to fan the spark, as they say. If someone has an interest in spiritual life, we should do everything we can to assist them lovingly, to help them grow that spark into a great ongoing fire, for them to feel enthusiastic. So let me ask the studio eyes, has anyone felt an imbalance in life and dissatisfaction at points in their life? I'll be the first one to say yes. No one else will? Maybe someone can give one example of, one way that they were feeling unsatisfied through their endeavors. Anything come to mind? Krishna, go.
I was just thinking, proper balance would be if we could be 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
That'd be the best balance, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to be fully spiritually conscious, so that there's no real worries for our activities. I know Bal Krishna raised his hand, and I know my dear friend Bal Krishna is going through some struggles right now, where it's completely out of his control, but he has a wife and a child on the way, but somehow he can't get them here due to COVID. So these difficulties that come upon us for seems like nothing we can do about it is difficult, but he's taking shelter of Krishna in the process. He's taking shelter of a spiritual consciousness, which is keeping you going, hey, Bal Krishna? Somehow, some way. So we all have this. So we'll move on to number 2. To propagate consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavad Gita really summarizes the essence of Vedic literatures and describes Krishna as he is, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Bhagavan, and also describing the Srimad Bhagavatam, which expands on that topic far greater, of who Krishna is, his pastimes, and how to approach Krishna through relationships in general. So we're feeling the struggles. A great way is to take shelter of the Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Bhagavad Gita or read the Bhagavad Gita here, but to actually dive into the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita really fortifies one perspective and gives clarity to life. Most of us, or some of us, might be part of this secret underground organization. It's called CHAD, which is a chapter a day of the Bhagavad Gita. It may only take about 10-15 minutes to read each day, but this actually gives one spiritual strength, yoga balena. And if we can do that daily, we'll feel like the struggles that come upon us, really, they don't faze us as much. This also goes hand to hand in a sadhana, a spiritual practice that if we can synergize it to, we feel strong, like the Hulk. So It's important. And anyone in the audience who doesn't have a Bhagavad Gita today, raise your hand. If you don't have a Bhagavad Gita at home, we're going to give free Bhagavad Gitas if you don't. So please raise your hand. Or come to me after the class and we'll give you a free Bhagavad Gita for attending the program. Don't be shy. Or online. We don't want to forget about our friends online. You can contact us and we'll make sure you get a Bhagavad Gita so you can take to the spiritual practice of reading the Bhagavad Gita. So carrying on to number 3. Remember, these are the 7 purposes of Iskcon, this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyone can follow along. You can look it up on your phone. This is what gadgets are for. So you can pull it up online. So 3, to bring the members of the society together with one another and nearer to Krishna, the prime entity, and thus develop the idea within the members and humanity at large that each soul is part and parcel of Krishna, the quality of Godhead, Krishna. So today, this is what we were doing. We had a group, maybe a group of 10 plus devotees, and we went downtown Ottawa to share this message of Krishna, to share the message of the Bhagavad Gita. We were also doing Kirtan. And this was for the purpose to bring people nearer to Krishna. And within our society, to bring them nearer to Krishna, we can study the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam to understand. But humanity in large, to understand who is Krishna and what is Krishna. I had someone ask me that today. We were chanting, and he was from Iran, and he said, "What is this?" And he was bewildered because we're chanting, and devotees are smiling, happy. But then, as I started to describe to him a little bit about the Bhagavad Gita, what it's about, he took a Bhagavad Gita, and he was excited to understand and know more about Krishna. So this is one of the mission statements of the devotees, to share this wealth of the Bhagavad Gita. Some of our friends in the studio, they may have been born in India, and I'm sure your parents have read the Bhagavad Gita, and your grandparents have memorized the Bhagavad Gita. But for ourselves, we should also try to dive deeply into this wisdom literature, because everything can actually be revealed to us about our eternal spiritual nature. So please take advantage of this endeavor that Srila Prabhupada did for the whole world, coming to the West and to bring the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the postgraduate study of the Bhagavad Gita, but then to struggle so hard to bring the Bhagavad Gita to us as well. It's a great fortune. So most of these points, bring up these points, because most of these principles are in line with the activities that we did today, and wanting to give Krishna to others, wanting to help people understand. It's quite most people follow God or follow a particular religion because of cultural momentum. I was born, my parents worship Krishna, so I'm going to follow suit. But to actually realize what is the purpose of spiritual life for ourselves, and then to take action on it is how we can actually come to clarity of what is the value of spiritual life, and then we can easily pass that on to other people as well. So number 4 goes in those lines. To teach and encourage the Sankertan movement of congregational chanting of the holy names of God, as revealed in the teachings of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So most of us heard of Sankertan or Kirtan. That's what we were doing in the temple walls, chanting, dancing. But Sankertan is on a whole nother level. And this was the activity that the devotees went out and did today. We went and hit the streets. We went and shared this the Hare Krishna mantra with everyone. And you could see people were baffled, people were mesmerized, people were a little angry we were doing it also, because somehow they're inimical to God. They don't like the sense of God or anyone preaching spiritual knowledge. But for the most part, people were very happy and excited to hear of these spiritual activities going on. That actually brings and changes the consciousness of the world. It's a spiritual sound vibration, the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if one can actually focus on this transcendental sound vibration, they'll get a sense of satisfaction that isn't available elsewhere. There's a verse in the Caitanya Charitamrita. This is the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So here on the altar, we have Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So Krishna all spoke of them before. So it's not Krishna Balaram, but it is. It's an incarnation of Lord Krishna and Balaram. And they came in the mood of devotees, people who want to experience this bliss that comes from the chanting of Hare Krishna and sharing it with others, because they saw the ecstatic symptoms. Krishna was observing devotees like Radharani and the gopis and gopas of Vrindavan, and seeing how much ecstasy they felt from serving Krishna. And so Krishna had that desire to also experience that ecstatic symptoms of serving Krishna. So people actually feel the potency of this spiritual sound vibration. And the verse in the Caitanya Charitamrita was Sarvapadi Vinir Muktam Tapapena Nirmalam Krishikesh Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Uchite. That means that as one serves Krishna, they feel a sense of satisfaction that can't be derived from serving the self. And all upadis, all material designations of I'm from a very prestigious family, I'm very beautiful, I'm very intelligent, wealthy, and my designations, who I think I actually am of the false ego, they actually start to subside, and I start to realize my true identity as a spirit soul, that essentially I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, and my only objective in life is to serve him and maintain this body to be able to serve him with full focus, and all others who come across. So number 5, Srila Prabhupada wrote, to erect for the members and for society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality, Krishna. So I'll let you guys in on a little secret. This place right here is a transcendental place of Krishna's pastimes. This is a place for Krishna strictly, and we have an environment here that when you walk into the temple, it might seem a little strange or foreign at first. You'll come in, you'll see people bowing down, chanting, dancing, and it's a little awkward at first, but to realize this isn't like the norm outside in the world. People are just busy on, it's about me, it's about me, it's about me. And like that verse that I was speaking on before from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that you see devotees as they're engaging in this chanting process, that they actually feel so ecstatic that to someone on the outside it may seem weird or definitely not normal, but it's because they're tapping into that transcendental experience, something that brings actual bliss to the heart, complete satisfaction, and it's an ongoing process. It's actually unlimited when we can dive into that spiritual activity of Krishna consciousness. And then what to speak of, if anyone likes to travel, a great place to go to is Sridham Mayapur, which is in West Bengal, about 4 hours from Kolkata. And this is one of the most remarkable places that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had many pastimes, but there's an enormous center in Iskcon center, a Hare Krishna center there. And the purpose is there to attract people to this spiritual atmosphere where the whole world will want to come and experience what's available there, as well as Vrindavan and so on. There's many different places that are there. So Srila Prabhupada said that in the society, we erect holy places of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Godhead Krishna. So all over, we open up centers where people can take advantage of Krishna consciousness and the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Here we have a humble little center that's been around for over 40 years. And sometimes on Fridays and Saturdays, I cook at the Govindas. We have a nice pure vegetarian restaurant here. And people are amazed that, and some people coming for darshan also on weekends, and they're amazed at what, this is a temple? There's no like the Vedic, it doesn't have that typical Vedic like structure as normal temples do. But when they come in, they feel this is the atmosphere, even more potent than some temples that they've been in, because these activities, these spiritual activities are going on constantly, and it's really centered around pleasing Krishna. All activities within the temple is that. But even though that's what's in here, and we can absorb that energy when we come into the temple, we should absorb it as much as possible and then bring it out and share that to others and feel that real satisfaction that comes from being in the transcendental environment. It's like no other place. They were coming around after doing the arti, and I smelled my hand, and it still smells wonderful. This is like enlivening the transcendental senses. Everything's for Krishna, and it's pleasing to all the senses when we engage in Krishna consciousness as well. So we're almost done. We got two more. Number 6 is to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a more simpler and more natural way of life. So I'm sure most of us have a pretty hectic schedule, hectic life, full of work, having to take care of the family, having to tend to the needs of the body and so on. So here, one of the greatest mantras that Krishna consciousness has to offer is simple living, high thinking. It may be difficult, and I'm a practitioner of this, a developing practitioner of simple living, high thinking, because we see that late night movies will come on, the electricity is always available, so there's no, you don't flow with the natural sunlight, daylight, but the goal is to live a more simple lifestyle, which means being able to focus more on one's spiritual activities throughout the day instead of focusing on Netflix, video games, so on and so forth. It's all available, but if we can actually take time to focus on our spiritual life by chanting and reading, we'll feel our mind is much more at ease because we're more in line with a more harmonious lifestyle. And anyone can try it. Really, you have to try it for yourself, honestly. I can talk all day, and but when I actually personally experience it, it feels, yes, okay, this is right. There's so much more. And then also, Srila Prabhupada desired for practitioners of spiritual life to develop communities that are centered around agriculture, farming, having cows available to actually tend to the needs of nature and experience nature. Nature is natural. The concrete jungle, not so much. So in Russell, actually, Russell's about 30 minutes outside of Ottawa. We have 2 farms, actually, one in Ottawa and then one just outside Ottawa, about 30 minutes. And this year we started a big vegetable farm in Russell. So we have, I don't think I've been so happy all this summer than the first time I went to the farm. Please excuse me. When I when I went to the farm, it was just blossoming with vegetables. There's nice apple trees, and it was unlimited the amount of produce that was available. So, and just going outside, picking your own vegetables from the dirt, you just felt ecstatic from being connected to nature and feeling that simple lifestyle, not going to the grocery store and not understanding where the food's coming from. It's full of pesticides, chemicals, so on. But just knowing it's pure natural food substance, that it's actually exciting to the senses when you perform that whole activity. So we'll put in a plug there that next Saturday we're going to be doing like a fundraiser for the temple, and everyone's available to come to the farm. You can connect with me afterwards, or Krishna Doll. You can come and pick as many vegetables as you want, no limit to it. Take unlimited if you can. There's probably about 1 million tomatoes there, so if you like tomato chutney, come stock up, and then you can give a donation. Anything from your heart, doesn't matter, and that all goes to the temple to assist with all the expenses here. So an open invite to everyone. Maybe we can arrange rides if people don't have a car also. So simple living, high thinking. This is a mantra that you can take away from here today. What is it?
Simple living, high thinking.
What?
Simple living, high thinking.
Let's say it all together one more time.
Simple living, high thinking.
Very nice. Yes. Simple living, high thinking. So we're on the last one of the 7 purposes of Iskcon. And Srila Prabhupada wraps it all up here. Okay, so we go through all this, it all sounds nice and good, but how are we going to achieve it? Well, how are we actually going to get to these goals? And he says, with a view towards the achieved, with a view towards achieving the aforementioned purposes, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other things. So actually to sustain ourselves in spiritual life. The chanting is there, and that's all we need for God realization, or that's the most potent form of God realization, if one can actually focus on the mantra. But the addition to reading actually convinces the intelligence and the mind to understand, yes, this is right, because we all have intelligence, and we need to understand intellectually how everything fits together. What's the actual purpose? What's the benefit? What do I get out of it? You can chant and say, oh, I love Krishna, this, that, but it could become just sentimental. So philosophy is there to make it concrete. So it's not just a sentimental, lovey-dovey thing, but you have philosophy backing up the practice, and then there we go. We're able to fortify ourselves, and it becomes solidified. We actually feel greater strength when we dive into the reading process. And as Srila Prabhupada said, to share this, because society at large, if we're not sharing the spiritual wisdom, if it's not available to people, then 90% of us would not be here. I'll say 98% of us would not be here. There might be a few rare souls that are just in tune from so many lifetimes of spiritual practice, but usually you come into the fold through somebody saying, hey, like Bhavana says, hey, my friends, come on over to the temple. This is the place to be. This is where I find happiness, joy, and come experience what we have to offer here. So you can do it through friend, and you can also then afterwards get a book as well, because then at home you can take to it yourself, understand what's there, what's available, and be able to dive deeper within the purposeful spiritual life. So like I said, today we were on the MSF. We were sharing this wisdom. Monthly Sankertan festival. We do it every month, once a month. If anyone wants to come try it out, it's lots of fun. We go out, we chant, we share Krishna's wisdom. You don't have to do it by yourself also. You can just tag team and just observe and feel the excitement that comes from going out into the great unknown. You don't know what's going to happen, but I can assure you it's going to be a mystical transcendental experience, and it'll be one that actually sticks in your memory. For the most part, for me, whenever I'm going to work, doing the 9 to 5, day in, day out, it's all the same. Things don't actually stick out to us. There's not much excitement available there. But when we go out of our comfort zone and we take an opportunity to become Krishna conscious ourselves, be aware of Krishna's presence everywhere, and then also share whatever little knowledge we've developed through our own individual practice. This is excitement. This is what brings life, and I recommend it all for us. And this is what we're doing. This is giving the gift of Krishna. So we tomorrow is Krishna's appearance day, where we're going to have a grand party for Krishna from 6:30 till midnight, an all-nighter almost. And we will, have a nice kirtan, a nice drama going on as well, a puppet show to be exact, on the pastimes of Krishna. And everyone's available, everyone's welcome to come, bring your friends. But there's limitations on the rotation because we can't have 200 people in here like we normally do. But it'll be well worth the adventure over here. So we'll also be sharing these transcendental wisdom literatures. As you guys can see up here, we have the great canon of Vaishnav theology available. For the ones online, it's the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're sharing that great scripture that's available. This touches strictly on the transcendental subject matter of devotional service. And it's great to accept into one's home, because this is like accepting the deity of Krishna in one's home. It's known as the literary incarnation of Krishna. It's containing all subject matters connected to Krishna, and you can feel the potency that comes from it when taking that into one's home. And we're doing a big marathon right now. It's coming to an end in September, and we're getting 15 Srimad Bhagavatam sets out worldwide. This is educating people on Vedic lifestyle and becoming and diving into the bhakti culture. And we're doing 25,000 worldwide. So we took a little chunk of that 25,000, but we're confident we're going to make our goals. So we got an enormous shipment of transcendental literatures coming in that everyone can take advantage of. So we all heard the 7 purposes, or we're all reminded of the 7 purposes of the Iskcon. And it's ultimately to help stimulate and encourage one another. We have to encourage one another in spiritual life. If someone's been practicing for a little bit longer than others, then you take new people under your wing. You share with them your realizations, your experiences from practicing this. And then give them love, become a friend. And then do your best to share it. Even if you're new, even if it's your first time walking in the temple, you can share the experience of walking in the temple and how it felt to others. And then, maybe make them inclined to come in and experiencing this spiritual life that's available to everyone. So it's important to check the imbalances of life in society and in our own life. So to really, if we're feeling imbalanced, to recalibrate the scale, and then practice. Take a little practice on yourself to feel encouragement, to get a sense of what my divine purpose is in life. And ultimately it's service to the Supreme, service to other spirit souls, and even service to the animals if one can. So In the Krishna consciousness movement, we promise jobs, 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 as a famous president once said. So if anyone wants some service, we can find some where we can all, connect on a higher working level and create a nice, beautiful sangha here, a nice, beautiful association of aspiring spiritualists where everyone in Ottawa wants to come, because this is the place to be. We're going to have a nice big feast afterwards, and it's full of excitement. So on that note, does anyone have any reflections from hearing these 7 purposes, or anything that was said that may have stood out to you, or questions? Questions are always welcome.
Feel free to raise your hand online, or if you want to say that.
If anyone online, you're more than welcome to raise your hand. We're keeping an eye out on me online, and we love to hear from our glorious friends online.
Or in person, raise your hand.
So the great thing about reflections is just you can blurt out anything that you heard that may have stuck with you. So if you're walking out the door today and some random person comes tap you on the shoulder and they say, "Hey, what was that guy talking about in there?" You're gonna say this. So you can give a reflection on that. Colin, please speak loudly.
I'm Colin. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Hare Krishna, Colin.
I just want to say I'm meeting you here at the temple in maybe 2014, 2015, and just getting a chance to get to know you and meet you, and asking you your lecture today. It's wonderful. So just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
My realization is you, Mandala.
Well, thank you. My realization is you love to serve. So Colin is one of the devotees that have been coming here for a while. He has the most wonderful service attitude, and he was just saying he remembers meeting me quite a few years ago, and now he's seeing me practice Krishna consciousness and becoming a little more serious, and now jabbering up here, but he's laughing about it. He's thinking, wow, this is nice. This is Krishna consciousness. So he came out with us today for Sankertan, and he was eagerly ready to serve. He came here early in the morning, and then we got to the spot where we were doing kirtan, and then immediately some of the devotees called from the temple, and they were like, "We need to come. We want to come on the Sankertan." So he immediately jumped up and he said, "I'll go get them." So he's service personified. He loves to serve. So thank you, Colin, for your service attitude. It's inspirational. Hare Krishna. And this is Avatar for anyone who just came in. This is my daughter, and even in this spiritual community we have here, we're raising children to have these spiritual values in life. And this is to that point to check the imbalance of values in life, that if we actually instill in our children that there's a spiritual nature and there's a benefit towards spiritual life, and then for them to become convinced, you have to be convinced. You actually have to read. You have to become full of knowledge of the spiritual reality. Otherwise, there's no chance. You're going to tell them, "Oh, do this because it's what I've done, what my parents have done," but that's not going to have weight to it. You actually have to have realization of spiritual experience and spiritual knowledge in general. Otherwise, they'll fall into the trap of material life, thinking that that's the all in all. That is the key to success, is becoming rich, famous, and so on. Those things are all good. We accept them. If you have trillions of dollars, by all means, enjoy it. But also use some in service of Krishna. Use some for helping the world develop these spiritual values. Otherwise, at the time of death, all of what you have is all of your investments and so on. They're gone out the window. So if whatever little you do, you invest in spiritual life, then it's an eternal benefit. So, Hare Krishna. So, it's important to instill in our children spiritual values while educating them materially as well, as my wife makes sure I point out. She doesn't just want this side of thing. Actually, these children that develop a spiritual intelligence, they see the world as it is. They don't just see it one-sided, that they're only focused on money, money, money. They see it as a more purposeful life, more whole perspective of serving as well. They develop divine qualities. And then they're also the most materially intelligent. They're so sharp, witty, and enthusiastic, happy. That's more valuable than anything. A child that's happy. Right, Avatar? Right, she said right. So there it goes into the lungs. Yeah, so any other reflections, questions? Otherwise, we'll have another Hare Krishna party, dance party. So maybe we can hear one or two more reflections from anything you heard. It can be simple. It doesn't have to be anything elevated. Surrender, Prabhu. Do you have anything on your mind? Any realizations from today?
You did a wonderful job. That's all. You took the initiative.
Yes, Surrender was making the point that today we had a big plan for doing a big kirtan in the park, and we pretty much got rained out. So we could have easily just quit, but instead we just made adjustments and stayed enthusiastic, didn't become discouraged. And that's also what spiritual life has to offer, is lack of discouragement. You don't get discouragements as the obstacles in life that come upon us automatically, but you become enthusiastic. There's two ways to be in life, as one of my spiritual teachers said to me. He said, you can either be beat up or you can be upbeat. So, we try to stay upbeat, happy, humble as well. Ilya, do you have something?
We can share that short video from previous MSF.
Yeah.
With our Zoom audience, but sorry for everybody at the temple.
Yeah, so we'll show a little a clip. Maybe people in the audience, they're gonna have to really put your binoculars on and look at the screen on the laptop. We'll have to get a projector in here so that devotees can all take advantage of the technology that's available. So we'll do that just to inspire everyone. Now this is what we're doing. We're sharing Krishna Prasadam. We're sharing spiritual literature, and we're sharing love of God, love of one another. That's what we need in the world. Love is all you need. And if anyone has any reflections, you can think about it afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're gonna get to something exciting. I know whatever I was saying is just in one ear or the other, but we're gonna show some fun activities that we're doing as a community outside of the temple walls. There's a lot of excitement going on. So Ilya's gonna show that to our Zoom.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
And this month, we're going to offer a small offering to Srila Prabhupada. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Gordita, dear Shama Sundar, please accept this offering to you. Today, with the endeavor of all the devotees, we went into the streets out of our comfort zone to share Krishna with others, and we distributed 29 transcendental literatures. And people gave 95 Lakshmi donations. So, Haribo! That was the endeavor of all the devotees, and people were very excited to get these wisdom literatures. I know you're excited. It's very good. Haribo. So thank you, Prabhu, so much for coming. And now we're going to get ready to have a Hare Krishna dance party.